Sarah Jane Ramos is squashing rumors and is ready to move on. Shortly after it was announced that she and fiance Dallas Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott had called off their engagement 1 month before their wedding ceremony, Sarah taking to Instagram March 9th to shut down speculation that she called off her wedding for a prenuptial agreement. Sarah commenting on this Instagram post from the Speakeasy Talk Show, in which hosts Emmanuel Acho and LaShawn McCoy discussed the alleged rumors that Dak has been pushing for a prenup that Sarah allegedly refused to sign. Sarah explaining in the comments, "This had nothing to do with the prenup. I hope we can put that rumor to rest now." The mom of two hasn't shared any reason for the split, but her representative previously told People Mag that the two are, quote, both heartbroken that they're not getting married. The rep adds, "There wasn't any rockiness in the lead up, and there was no big argument or blow up. It was a mutual decision." And of course, the former couple who were first linked in 2023 are focusing on co-parenting their two children, 2-year-old Margaret and 9-year-old Aurora, despite the shock of the recent split, adding they love their girls and they're committed to raising their children together in the most loving and positive way.
All right, everybody. Welcome to Blacksmith Podcast. Wake it up. We're starting with some hot, spicy topics. But this isn't a relationship show. It's not. Okay, how can I put this? This is not like a relationship. Yeah, I guess it's not a relationship. It's about relationship with money, but and I don't know. But y'all see the topic at large. I'm at a loss for the words that I'm trying to come up with. But listen, this has been hot all over the news, right? And on Saturdays, as we know, the Blacksmith talks about money topics, right? Well, what's bigger? What's a bigger money topic than a prenuptial agreement, a marriage, things of that nature? Yeah, there you go, chat. Help me out. It's not a dating show, and it's certainly not here to give relationship advice. Is what I was trying to say. Um, yeah, I did do a sound check. Is it still echoing? Am I echoing, or was the video echoing? Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah, it's not a dating show, but listen, there is a financial aspect to this, as the chat has so eloquently pointed out. I'm sure his pinky was out. That's why I said eloquent. He's like that. Y'all don't worry about it. I got it. So listen, I've seen this floating around social media the past week. This guy right here, I think the Speakeasy, I think this guy is LaShawn McCoy. And if I'm not mistaken, LaShawn McCoy is he was the running back for the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, I don't get me started on how to spell this. I know how to spell his last name. Okay, LaShawn McCoy. Who is this? American football player. Yeah, LaShawn McCoy. NFL stats. Here we go. Yeah, that is him. He was the Philadelphia Eagles running back. Yeah. God dang. Um, so I didn't know that he was on a podcast. You know what's crazy about the world? The world is making a real big paradigm shift right now, right? And you have a lot of folks going from sports and entertainment, whether they're some kind of recording artist, whether that be rapper, singer, whatever, and they're going into podcasting. So this guy right here on the bottom is LaShawn McCoy. And I knew his face looked familiar. I saw a piece of the podcast where they were talking about to get a prenuptial agreement or not. LaShawn McCoy, he was all for getting a prenup. This guy right here, he said on the show, not to be pocket watching, he knows he's a multimillionaire. So I don't know who this guy is. I know they just said his name, but I don't know who he is. I'm not familiar. He was not for prenuptial agreements. Um, and now I've seen this picture floating around. Not that one, this one here, and this one here. So beautiful couple, if you ask me. Um, I think he's a handsome guy. She's definitely a beautiful woman. Now on him, because he's a Cowboy and I'm a Giants fan. So, but great quarterback. Arguably a great quarterback. Um, they're not married, but they are together. And listen, we just talked about you tracking your earnings versus expenses, putting together a budget, right? A spending plan, and obviously holding to it. We just talked about. Let me grab the file here. We talked about debt consolidation. We talked about IRAs. We talked about life insurance. And last week we talked about time management, signal versus noise, right? That has everything to do with this right here. Because in tracking expenses versus or earnings versus expenses, you have to factor in your significant other, your wife, your husband, your girlfriend, your boyfriend. Um, and for them, I should say fiance because um, they are affianced, or they were, right? All this stuff, I'm trying to say only fact. Um, but here's the overarching thing. If I say anything that not be fact or speculation, allegedly, right? Now I said it in the beginning. So listen, um, this has everything to do with um, financial matters. This is a financial matter. This is why it's such a big topic because they say you should marry for love. But if we look in America, love doesn't win the day. Why is this thing on this? This is supposed to be Google. What is going on? It's supposed to be Google automatically. Is it a family matter? Yeah, it's a family matter. It's a family matters matter. Yes. Um, all right. So divorce rate. 2.4 per 1,000 people. Okay, in English. Um, well, roughly 40%. Okay, here we go. Here's what we want to get to, right? Uh, they're saying 40% of marriages right here end in divorce. But there's a whole bunch of different pieces of information here, and this one, I would say, this one's not as relevant, seeing as how it's old. If you only did it from 90 to 2008, those are now old statistics. So I don't really want to use that one. But anyway, it's definitely a money conversation because if you think about it, if the statistic they were quoting on the show, from this show that they were talking about with LaShawn McCoy, they were saying the marital statistic was about 50 or 52%, somewhere in there. I'm not finding it now. Maybe I'm just not Googling it right. However, um, this guy here said he was not opting for prenups while LaShawn McCoy, and this makes sense too. Thinking about it, duh, Dak Prescott is a quarterback in the NFL, right? LaShawn McCoy is retired from being a running back in the NFL. And so he said he was for prenups. This guy right here, he did say is a multimillionaire, but he can't understand why he doesn't opt for the prenup. Um, So this has everything to do about the money conversations we've been talking about, because how do you track your earnings versus expenses without factoring in your significant other, should you have one, right? So I guess the money conversation we were talking about, I said it as though you were single, right? But now let's bring your spouse, your fiance, your girlfriend, boyfriend, all of that into it. You have to factor them in when it comes to earnings versus um, spending. Um, when you talk budget or spending plan, you have to factor them in as well. When you talk budget, you have to factor them in as well, and sticking to the budget, because one person might be ultra disciplined when it comes to the budget. Somebody else might have the hot hand. And this ain't a male versus female thing, because I have seen it where guys are really stupid and they will just, well, not let me take that back. I'm not trying to be mean. Not stupid, but they are, what do you call those folks? They're is it spontaneous buyers? No. Where they can't stop the urge to buy something as soon as they see it. It is spontaneous, right? Spontaneous spender, something like that. And they'll go get a $2,000 compulsive, maybe, yeah, maybe that's it. Impulsive. Impulsive. There it is. The chat is undefeated. Impulsive buyer. Impulse buyer. Yes. I've seen it where dudes will spend $1,000 on an RC car just because they saw an ad. They'll just go get it. They're swiping through Amazon. Close it out. If you're impulse, you shouldn't have certain apps. Go to the web browser. It's slow. You don't like it more. I'm just kidding. I don't know. Anyway, impulse buyers. So what they'll do is anything they see that they just want, they gotta have. So they'll go buy it. They'll go get a new car. I ain't saying nothing. So they'll go get a new car, or switch. Maybe it's a used car, but they trade one that works for one that works. Nothing's wrong with this one. Nothing's wrong with that one. But on impulse, they traded logos. They have a Toyota, they want a Lexus. They have a Lexus, they want an Audi. They have an Audi, they want a BMW. They got a BMW, they want a Mercedes. They got a Mercedes, a new BMW comes out. They want that. It's just impulse, right? So you have to factor that other person in. And when you are married and trying to build a life with someone, um, that could be tough. That presents a unique challenge, because remember, you can only control what you do. You can't control what I do. He can't control what she does. She can't control what he does, right? So if he's out there spending money like it's going out of style, that's going to be a problem for her. If she does the same thing, that'll be a problem for him. So when you're talking couples, yeah, this stuff absolutely matters, even more so than when you're single, right? Because now you're affecting someone else. So when you talk, what was the next subject? We talked debt reduction, um, or consolidation, right? Um, that comes into play even more so when it's two people. Now, I don't know what she does for a living. I don't know if she's a homemaker or whatever, but that kind of matters. That matters too, because again, when you're talking about being married, being coupled, all of that stuff factors in, right? Um, Now I'll be transparent. My wife is a homemaker. I don't have a problem with that. And we're already married. No, we do not have a prenuptial agreement. I was a chief in the Navy by the time we got married. And actually, next Saturday will be our 4-year anniversary. And she's a lovely human being. But no, I didn't do a prenuptial agreement. I mean, did I have stuff before we got married? Sure, but I don't think it was like anything like crazy. I didn't have, what did I have? Like two vehicles and some money in the bank, show them what you drink, and I bought the house like a month before we got married, but it wasn't a big deal. We it was a month before we got married. We were basically there. You know what I mean? Um, but I think it's more relevant for these folks, these athletes, entertainers, these rap artists, and people who are hundred thousandaires, millionaires, multimillionaires, billionaires before they meet the love of their life. There's two trains of thought on this, and audience, feel free to chime in on this one. This is a money matter, right? Feel free to chime in on this one, but just remember, this isn't male versus female. That is not what this channel is about. This is logical people. We're all pointed towards the same goal, right? It doesn't matter what side of the aisle you stand on. I'm just saying there's two trains of thought on this one. There's a thought that, well, if you love somebody and you trust somebody, then you wouldn't do a prenuptial agreement. And then the other train of thought is like, yeah, but look at the divorce rate. These people love each other and whatever. And if you're 50% or more divorce rate, or even close to it, and then that person wasn't shooting with you in the gym, but they can come along and they're happy when they get married to you. And then when they're no longer happy, they can just walk, and they say, hey, they can take 50% of the stuff they didn't help you earn. Also, that's not fair. And I see both sides of it, right? So this is a money matter, but it's been hot in the news. And I figured I'd try something new on the show today. Like, let's talk about some of these other topics as it relates to getting to financial freedom, as it relates to building an empire, as it relates to the things that we talk about here. So again, audience, if you have anything you want to chime in, you can do so. But this also deals with an IRA, right? Your individual retirement account. Because we know divorce could ruin and shake the foundation of all of this stuff. What, you want to chime in? Go ahead. You said let you know. Is that what you mean? 2 minutes. Let you know, and then 2 minutes. Got it. So you let me know. Uh this guy, man, I tell you. Some people's my bad. Yes. Um So we talked about time management as well, signal versus noise. Now, we last week we listened to Kevin O'Leary talk about signal versus noise with Steve Jobs. And had I not closed that video out, actually, I might be able to get it back up. Yeah, let me play this one again because this one relates to it too. I'll tie this one to
Steve
it.
would say, by the way, not a nice guy. Not a nice guy. A man or woman that understands the signal noise ratio, that focuses on that, they'll be successful.
I like this.
He does
video.
not deal with noise. He is 100% signal. The 18 hours he's awake, it's all signal. Look how wildly successful he was. But here's why. So I used to work for guys like Steve Jobs and others in my career. Let me give you one that I think is very important. We'll start with this one. I used to work for Steve Jobs in the early 90s, making all of his educational software. I mean, it was just, there they are. My goodness, you guys do good research.
So this is a snippet from a podcast I watched. Excuse me. I didn't watch it. I listened to it on the way home. I had quite a long drive, 2.5 hours on the way home. I know it sounds ridiculous, but I work in San Diego and I live in Riverside County. And hey, my Tesla's wrecked now, but I have some fond memories of some stuff that I learned while in it. And now I have a motorcycle, and I've been splitting lanes and getting home in an hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes, even with the traffic. So I've done it for 2 days now, Thursday, Friday, and I got to tell you, it's a rush. But anyway, This is from Lanes, Splitting Lanes. I don't know what you're thinking about, but not Raising Canes, Splitting Lanes. So this is from the Diary of a CEO. I don't know this guy's name. He's English sounding. And he interviewed Kevin O'Leary. If you're not familiar with Kevin O'Leary, he's Mr. Wonderful, aka Shark Tank guy. AKA also maybe he's the CEO or he partnered with the folks at Start Engine so that you can invest in pre-IPO businesses. I invested in one from Start Engine already. I'll let y'all know how that goes when that's gonna IPO. But that's what this is from, and he's talking about signal versus noise when he worked for Steve Jobs. All right, let's listen to the rest.
Those are the kind of things that we did for him, you know. Yeah, all of that. It's hard to find. Those are CD-ROMs, but And I would say, Steve, we got to do some market research on Oregon Trail. I mean, it's a huge title. It's in 110,000 school buildings. We got to do an update. It's going to cost you 12, 15 million bucks. We want to find out what the students want. We want to find out what the teachers want. We want to find out what the parents want. Steve would say, by the way, not a nice guy. Not a nice guy. He would say to a room full of people, Kevin, I don't give a shit what the students want or the parents think or anybody thinks. It's what I want. They don't know what they want till I tell them what they want. And I said, Steve, you sound like such an... You have no idea what that sounds like. He says, no. That's how it is, Kevin. Now, are you making money with me? Am I your fastest growing OEM? Have we not been wildly successful and continue to be? I said, yes, Steve, that's true. He said, then shut up and do what I say.
That's how he would talk to you.
All right,
One,
hold on.
shut up.
I want y'all to hear the other guy talk because he is English. But anyway, so back in the day when he worked for Steve Jobs, that was the case. You could, as a CEO, tell people what they want by just putting out a product because of company loyalty, right? But remember, there was a paradigm shift, and Steve Jobs is the one who orchestrated it by inventing the first smartphone, the iPhone, right? When that iPhone came, internet had already connected people around the world, but not on the go like a smartphone. It was nothing like these flat screen TVs that are supercomputers that are capable of making phone calls. These things are mobile. They would connect you around the world in 5 seconds. And with 3 degrees separation, you know everybody around the world. You weren't glued to a computer like what I'm recording this on right here. The smartphone changed the world. And he did say he was going to change the world. He just wasn't going to let his kids use it because it was going to cause the downfall of humanity. Weird how society has moved. Now, here's what I was going to say. The paradigm shift happened when that smartphone came out. Now you can't just tell people what they want because their only way to reach you was letters and emails as a company saying, hey, it has a bug. Hey, wouldn't it be better if you could right click and have this option in that menu as well? Hey, wouldn't it be better if you could make short keys and stuff like that? And before, to do an update to software, you had to just create the second version. Like Final Fantasy's out. You can't update it. But Final Fantasy 2, you can change some of the schematics that were wrong in the first one with the new game, right? Well, internet is out. And you can upload and download patches and stuff now. People can give you feedback in real time. You have websites, you have social media pages, you have forums like Reddit, all kinds of stuff where people can tell you in real time what they do or don't like about your product and everybody else can see it. Now you can't have that same kind of mindset where you tell people what they want because they're going to tell you directly what they want and the whole world is watching. So he could get away with that back then. He couldn't do that today.
And do what I say.
That's how he would talk to you.
100%. And here's what I learned. Look how wildly successful he was. But here's why. There's a concept that he understood that very few people focused on back then in the early 90s of signal to noise ratio. What was so brilliant about Jobs that I tell every CEO now, and I don't care if you're an S&P 500 CEO or you're just starting a business, his vision of signal was the top 3 to 5 things you have to get done in
Write
the
this
next 18
down.
hours. Not your vision for the business next week or next month or next year, just the next 18 hours you're awake. You're going to get those 3 things or those 5 things done that you have deemed critical for your mission. They must get done today. Anything that stops you from doing that is the noise. So this signal to noise ratio to be successful for Steve Jobs was 80-20. 80 signal, 20 noise. And I knew that to be true with him because he would email me at 2:30 in the morning and expect me to get back to him because back then we didn't have texts, it was all email. He was right. He was right. And the only other person that I've seen that has a higher ratio than that is Elon Musk. He has no noise. He does not deal with noise. He is 100% signal, 24 seconds, every cycle. I mean, the guy is just 60 seconds of every minute, 60 minutes of every hour. The 18 hours he's awake, it's all signal. And look what he's achieved. Now, it's very awkward for him.
That's right.
Socially.
That's right.
Because noise is dealing with your family sometimes, or noise is saying hi to a friend, or noise is listening to some doom scrolling on some social media app that just takes your mind
For
and maybe
5-10
playing the
minutes.
guitar.
Yeah.
But very few people on earth, and if you go back in history, you're going to find out that the geniuses of their time were close to 100% signal.
And so I
Einstein.
can really sort of summarize this for my audience. Signal is
Beethoven.
the most urgent thing you should be focused on right now, and noise is basically everything
No,
else.
the goals you set for the wait that you were awake. If you're going to be awake 18 hours, and you've determined that there's 3 things you have to get done, you're going to get those done. No matter what it takes, you're going to get those done. And you're not going to let anything distract you from the 3 to 5 things. If you're a CEO and you achieve that and you can get those done with 80% of your time based on that, you're extraordinarily successful. You are absolutely, and you're Steve Jobs, or you're an Elon Musk, or you're somebody. If you even talk to Bezos, I don't know him personally, but I've heard many interviews. Like I knew, I've met Elon just a few times. I spent a lot of time with Jobs, but they say the same thing. Bezos will not make a decision after 1 o'clock in the afternoon because he felt that the noise was too high. The signal for him was in the morning hours. This is a crucial aspect of success that I now understand to be the ability of it defines an entrepreneur. A man or woman that understands the signal noise ratio, that focuses on that, they'll be successful. The ones that can't, that get down to a 50-50 signal noise, they'll fail. It's that simple.
All right. So there's that. So we're gonna go back to the conversation. Yeah, I heard you. Hold on 1 sec. I know where you are too. So I'm gonna have to let you get in here, or I'm gonna miss your window of opportunity here. But just in dealing with this stuff that we've been talking about, right? We talked about time management, signal versus noise. That signal versus noise doesn't just work for entrepreneurs and CEOs. It works for normal, everyday people like us too. It's just that most of us don't figure that kind of stuff out. This is why a lot of this stuff that we talked about is very easy to do when you're young and when you're single versus when you are older and when you already are married and when you already have children. But if you are watching this and you are older and you are like, and I say older as in like 30 or beyond, right? When you're an older adult versus when you are, 30 is young to somebody, but in this context, when you're an older adult and when you're already married, you already have kids, your noise becomes a lot more. And it's really the marriage and the children that add more of that. But when you're young, if you can get this stuff down because you're unencumbered by the things of life that and I say unencumbered in the most loving way possible. Um, a wife is a good thing. A husband is a good thing. Kids are a good thing. But if you haven't gotten a hold of this stuff, it could be a terrible thing. Curtis, go ahead.
All right. So yeah, look, everything you've been hitting on is absolutely amazing, and there are things we need to pay attention to, and there are some ways that we can look at that in other
Take it.
facets of life to help us understand.
Should have
As
muted
far
it.
as I'm going to go as far back as prenups and talk about that a little bit.
Yeah.
A prenup, if people say that they marry for love, and I can believe them, then that would mean that money doesn't matter. And if money doesn't matter, then you shouldn't have a problem signing an agreement that says, hey, if you came in with this, you leave with what you built during the time you were here, unless it was joint. But everything that I build while I'm here, I keep. Everything you build while you're here, you keep, and keep your assets separate. That way, and what we have found is that, and like for better or for worse, um, when and I'm sure there's a study on this. I just haven't pulled it up yet. So please, if you want to follow along with the study, you got the computer, you're faster. I wonder if uh, what was it, Kentucky? Years ago, I believe it was Kentucky, Tennessee, one of those states. They actually stopped. Oh, geez, what was it? I think they made 50-50 child custody law, that it was equal shared custody by default. And so you wouldn't be receiving child support, I believe it said. And because of that, divorce rates plummeted. Let me see if I can find it before I put my foot in my mouth. Um, Mandates a presumption of joint custody. Yeah, since 2018, Kentucky law HB House Bill 528 mandates a presumption of joint custody and equal 50-50 parenting time as the default starting point in divorce and separation cases. And so when that happened, divorce dropped as a result. Um, Impact studies suggest this law contributed to a 25% drop in divorce rates in the state between 2016 and 2023. So if you incentivize someone leaving, it's going to happen more. And I'm not saying that for, again, just look at the data. So if you
Yeah,
de
people lie,
incentivize,
statistics don't. So, yeah, go ahead.
right, yeah, so if you de incentivize breaking up of the family, it will happen less often. And I don't, so again, for better for worse, I know everyone's situation is different. I just wanted to put that out there. So if you have a vehicle, we protect that by car insurance. If you have a house, you protect that by home insurance, property insurance. If you have storage unit, you may have your insurance extend to protect your things in storage. You know, when you have business insurance against lawsuits, against, claims. If you're smart as a business, if you run technology, credit cards process on your network, you have protections for that too. So that if your database is encrypted, they have to, someone attacks you successfully and shuts you out of your own stuff. They actually have cyber insurance that you can purchase so that you are protected. And companies sometimes may pay ransoms through that insurance to get you your stuff back, but you have to prove that you took all necessary measures to secure your network. So I say all this to say we understand how protection works in those other aspects. It's just that when it comes to love, some people get upset that you put a monetary or financial barrier in front of your ability to access their money should the relationship not work out. And anyone who's fiscally responsible should want to protect your assets because those assets also go to the children. If you marry somebody that is not good with money, be you male or female, and that person should get hold of your finances, they'll drag your pockets down and they'll spend it all in a lot of these cases, and your children will have nothing. So everything you've been trying.
We lost you. We lost you. You said everything you've been trying. No, I said we lost you. You said so everything you've been trying, and we lost you.
everything.
Yeah, you're
Entire
completely
legacy you've
robotic.
been. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, all right. Let me jump in here on that last thought you said. So, you're exactly right. So we're talking about making smart decisions, right? All of these things on this piece of paper on the left side of my screen, they're smart decisions that you would be making, right? It is very smart to measure your earnings versus expenditures, to create a budget, to have a spending plan, to consolidate debt, reduce debt, bring your debt to income ratio down. It is smart to have an IRA. It's smart to have life insurance. It is smart to know what signal versus noise is. And you know that we were just talking about time management, and y'all know my phrase that pays over here is what do you do with your 62? However, that signal versus noise thing is just as wise, if not wiser, than what do you do with your 62? Because that is it's phenomenal. I love it. I love it. I didn't come up with it, but I absolutely love it. And I had seen it probably in January sometime, and I think I sent Curtis the video. I don't know if I posted the link in all of Discord. I think I might have, but I'm pretty sure if I did, only few were gonna watch it. Um, and I don't blame anybody because um I don't blame anybody because I know the video is like an hour long, and people see they look at the time of the video, like the amount of time the video, what am I trying to say, the length of the video before they even watch it, because if it's a long video it disinterests people nowadays, right? It could have the best information in there, and that right there, not to be so controversial, but this one is too. I heard this growing up many times, that if you wanted to hide information or knowledge from black people, put it in a book. So as a kid, I thought this was going to be like one of those page master cartoons or movies where they're in this big expansive library and you're looking for a treasure map, and you're like, where do I start? There's bookshelves over here, bookshelves over there, and you've been in the library for hours, you and your team, and y'all are searching for this treasure map, and then somebody slips, bumps into one of the library cases, and a book falls down and falls open, and there's the map. That's what I thought they meant, right? But I was a kid. And as Paul said in the New Testament, when I was a kid, I walked as a kid, talked as a kid, I thought as a kid, I spoke as a kid. He didn't say all of that, but he said he thought as a kid, he spoke as a kid. So my understanding of what that meant was that. That's not what it meant. It meant because black people don't read. When they see a book and it's not a thin book, but it's a thick book, they're turned off by the fact that they would have to spend their time actually reading. And it's basically saying black people don't like knowledge. If you put it, you can keep it, it tells you something about them that they don't like to read. And it tells you a weakness, but it also tells you a way to defeat them or keep them ignorant. Just keep putting the knowledge out there for other people, but this will keep them ignorant if you put it in that form. Well, take black people out of it and just use people in general, and take modern day long form content is the new book. So had I posted it in there, it doesn't matter because most people nowadays don't like long form content. They like the shorts. That's why on my channel, I have over 400 videos and posts and stuff. The bulk of them are shorts. That's why. And with that, I'm still less than 400 subscribers. And part of that is my own fault because of marketing, right? I'm not complaining. It's just marketing. But anyway, these are very smart decisions to make, but one reckless decision in who you choose to be your spouse could be the downfall of it all. You wanted to mic up again, good sir? Give it another shot.
Yeah. Any better now?
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, great. I was thinking about this. The length of the video, you mentioned this. It scares them, but they'll say they don't have time to watch it, so they'll be like, "Oh, I only got like a minute. Oh, that's a short. That's a minute. I can watch that." But then by the time they realize it, they've watched 10 shorts in a row, and they're
Yep.
swiping and they're scrolling.
Yep.
And so by the time they realize that they've wasted a tenth of the time or a sixth of the time that they would have spent just watching your video anyway, um, we call that like the start of the iPhone or brain rot from microtransactions of dopamine hitting the brain from watching short little funny entertainment hee hee ha ha's. As for the signal voices versus noise, I'm sure a lot of us have seen the geeky, really introverted dudes in places of work or engineering. They do not deal with people. They primarily deal with things,
Well, don't say
and they can
them and leave
manipulate
your
those.
profession out. You got some of the most introverted people in your career field, sucker.
Shut. So yeah, we do well in a
IT.
room with four. Yeah, a room with four walls, no windows, and a bunch of technology.
That's right.
Server rooms, you know.
They
I know
speak in
people
binary
that,
code.
dude, I've seen people
0111100.
location. I'm not even kidding you. I've seen people hear the location of where a device is. Like, say a place has grid based, this one is AR35. And they're like, oh, I know what that is. This one's acting up again. It's that server. It's the second from the top one. And they know every detail about it just by hearing the location. Like in a grid based environment, in a server room, server room. Um, I've worked, different places where they do the same thing, and they can tell you everything about that machine. They can tell you which side of the door won't close.
Yeah.
They deal with things a lot better than they deal with people.
Yep.
So when it comes to that kind of stuff, their brains are kind of wired different. The social interaction is not something that's important to them, which is why they're smart, but they may be common sense dull, or they may be sharp with intelligence, or they may be socially inept, or some people might even think they're special needs. But it's just that their brain doesn't have the capacity or has never developed the capacity for people as much as interest in things.
Yep.
And anything you're discussing that doesn't deal with that thing, they're tuned out.
Yep.
Kind of like how people suggest Elon Musk may be somewhat autistic or special needs. Again, alleged. But um, let's jump to signal versus noise. That could be your family. I love my family, but that can be your family. That can be your kids. That can be your friend, your best friend that's always jumping on the phone with you and got some new drama because they're in somebody else's life because theirs isn't interesting enough. And every time you get on the phone with them, they got something to say about something that somebody else did. Watching your favorite celebrities all the time and knowing what's going on in their lives and you don't even know your own budget. That's noise. The friends at work that tease you because you go above and beyond and they're like, bro, you're not getting promoted. That's noise. If you allow that to discourage you from getting done what you need to get done, that's noise. If you got friends trying to discourage you to, hey, you should drop out of school, just go get you a job, and you've got goals and you've got a pattern and you've got dates set and you've got a plan, and they're trying to distract you from that, get you to go to the club, go see some girl, some guy, that's noise. It's distracting you from the things most important, and more importantly, if you're in college, that should be one of your 3 to 5 things every day. Get to that class, do the work in that class. So things that distract you from that, they are noise.
That's right.
It comes in places that you wouldn't even think it's going to come from. And yeah, a lot of times it can be your friends and your family, the people you choose to keep in your life. But that's all I wanted to go over.
We're talking about it more on a bird's eye view on a grand scale when we're talking about life and goals and hopes and dreams, like you said, college and promotions and stuff. Kevin O'Leary, Steve Jobs by way of Kevin O'Leary, because we didn't hear it from Steve, we heard it through Mr. O'Leary. They're talking about it on a very, I guess it's micro scale. very fine tune, smaller scale that you can manage, that your brain can conceptualize. See, most people can't think in large terms like we just did, like in life, how signal versus noise works, because it's too huge. They're looking at Mount Everest all at once, and they're like, I can't climb that thing. But if you keep it on a small scale, like Steve taught Kevin, you can manage that because every day you before you go to bed, you write down three things that are a must achieve. And that is your drum beat for tomorrow when you wake up. The moment you open your eyes, yes, you have to get ready for work. Yes, you have to commute to work. Yes, you have to get to work. Yes, you have to do your work. But understand these three things might actually be of a personal nature and have nothing to do with work. And you might not be able to even complete them until you're done with work and have commuted home. It may be something like that. But if they're of a personal nature, now they were CEOs, so that's what he was talking about more so than anything else. They were dealing with work. But what I'm talking about is in life, because some of this stuff on the left side of the screen might actually be the signal, right? So if you have to update your budget, then that's signal. And guess what? You might not be able to do it until you get home from work. And let's say you got out at 5, you don't get home till 6, and you go to bed at 9, you've got a 3-hour window to accomplish three things. One could be the budget, one could be laundry, one could be a simple task, chores. I don't know. And of that 3, let's say you get out into 2 hours because you let some noise in, doom scrolling, or you watch a new episode of your show came out or something like that, right? Well, now maybe you're not going to get all 3 done, or maybe you might think you might not. Which one of those 3 are more important? I got to get this budget done. So do that first, right? Now, look. So we're just trying to teach you how to manage this thing on I think it's a micro versus macro scale, right? You take a look on how this functions every day. And if you do that, if you have the discipline to do that if you have the discipline to do it in the first place, and if you have the consistency in that discipline to do it every day, you will walk this down on the big scale, and you're climbing Mount Everest. By the time you look back and look down, you're halfway up. You've done it on a grand scale in your life as a whole. So you should have signal at home, signal at work, signal with family, right? And you can't let noise come in between that, or it's going to mess up your money. It's going to mess up your goals. It's going to mess up your life. And a spouse, a fiance, whoever you're dating could absolutely be noise. They could be. And it could be the wrong choice. Okay. Maybe I shouldn't play that. But this commercial right here with the dinosaur in the back just gave me it just made me think. I saw a snippet of a girl who got mauled. Why does this not keep coming up Google? I'm gonna have to set my default Google again, I guess, because I don't know what's happening here. Yeah, why is Google not the default? I don't get it. All right, I don't have time to deal with this now. Not on camera. I'll fix this myself. But so this girl, y'all see what I'm typing, right? It's not funny. It's not funny. but I couldn't believe it myself, right? But I gotta play this. This has nothing to do with signal versus noise. This just wasn't smart. She's alive, by the way. I think he got her face. And he wasn't about to stick around and fight all those people either. So if y'all going hiking, if y'all going skiing, and y'all are out in the wild, just remember, this is their house. This is their house. We must protect this house. All right, so listen. This is probably gonna play and be noisy, and I don't want this in the video. So the video I saw, it says by a coyote. Or maybe that's something different. That's something different. So the snow leopard pounced on the chick. He didn't kill her. He might have been about to. I have no idea. She wasn't even knocked out. She was alive and awake, and I don't know if he's got his paws on her, like holding her down. I don't know. But from what I read, she saw the snow leopard and thought he was cute. And so she was trying to take a selfie with him, and he actually jumped on her. So look right here, making her way back
nice words, but happens to be wrong.
Wrong action, wrong answer. Yeah. When she was unable to get a good angle of the photo, she reportedly kept approaching until the leopard pounced and mauled her face. Then he was driven off. So hopefully, honestly, I hope that she doesn't have any like eyeball missing or nothing like that. And hopefully they don't go out there and try and kill the snow leopard because he pounced on her. I mean, that just wasn't smart. And that's what we're talking about today, is making smart decisions. I see you in the chat. This guy's going crazy. He's saying, what up to Sanchez? And is that White Tiger? Something, I just can't remember what the rest of it is. And JT, that's everybody who's on the live. What up? Shout out to y'all for being consistent on the show all the time. Appreciate it, as they would say in the South. Appreciate it, not appreciate it. That's how you know they really care. Appreciate it. But anyway, it is a money topic. Dak Prescott and his fiance, divorce rates, all that kind of stuff. You do have to think about that stuff, because back in the day, 100 years ago, this wouldn't even be a topic, right? This wouldn't even be a conversation, because people, I don't think necessarily, now this is my opinion, but I'm not trying to be controversial here. I don't think people married for love necessarily. They married for utility, and they married for security, and they married for out of a sense of duty, if that makes sense. Yes, they were in love with the person they were marrying, but that's not why they were marrying. They were marrying to build a family. They were marrying to stay together. They were marrying to be a boon to society, not a debuff. They were marrying for security, and they had security in one another. And the paradigm have just shifted now, where society have taught men not to trust women, women not to trust men, and be very transactional. I'm going to do this for you, but I expect this in return. Nobody had to say that back in the day. You came as givers to the relationship. Nowadays, everybody comes as takers. So now when they say 50-50, I know what they meant, but I know what they mean by 50-50, but I think it's the wrong thing to say. Everybody should come into the relationship 100-100. You don't put 1 foot in and have 1 foot out. You come in full force, 100%, right? Everybody's giving their 100%. And if you're doing that, the percentage is 100, but the number would then be 200 total. But however that looks, sometimes this person might only be 60%. So that may make you have to be 140% to add up to. So I get the 50-50, but I'm just saying, just think about it like this. That sounds like you're half in and half out. If your 50% is giving 100%, that makes sense, but it needs to be articulated like that because it's very transactional nowadays. And that right there could ruin where you're going. Now, let me see these comments because we talk about the snow leopard, I think. Let me see. Exactly how it thrill seeking. Well, she found the thrill, but it was more almost thrilling. Oh, man. Yeah. And shout out to that young lady. I don't know if she was young or old or mid. I have no idea. But that just wasn't smart. Like, look, there's this thing where they ask a girl if a woman, if she rather run into a bear in the woods or a man in the woods, and they'll pick the bear. Well, if we can't handle the snow leopard, mayhaps we not pick the bear because he would do a lot worse. He would do a lot worse. There's that lesson. There's also a lesson of just don't be stupid, man. Like nature and wildlife, it may be cute, but it ain't cuddly. It may be cute, but it might be some pigeon in his teeth, and you're not seeing that. He just got done eating a squirrel. He just got done, killing a moose or something, and mayhaps you not do. And there's no telling, right? Maybe that was a female snow leopard. Maybe the kids were nearby. That is kind of stupid. Like you see. Nature is not cuddly. We got to stop with the, and that's, you get these shows out here, nature's cutest animals. Oh, and it's a little snow leopard baby cub in habitation where the humans are feeding it and they're tickling it and he's doing all this cute stuff. No, show the ones out in the wild. That's not all cute and cuddly. Show the ones pouncing on the necks of llamas and whatever they eat and ripping their throats out and then chewing them up while they're alive and screaming. Or they suffocate them by clamping on their throats because that's how they are in the wild. Yeah. And I'm not trying to be one of them. So
Ain't nobody got time for that.
and we don't. So that's that. That's all I'm saying. This is a lesson about finances, though. Time is money. Imagine how long her recovery process will take after that attack. No, you're right. You know what? I didn't even think about that, right? It is a lesson in finances. Now, she just made that choice. And this just shows you things in life have consequences, whether good, bad, or indifferent, neutral, right? The consequences of her actions, which didn't seem to be that detrimental. She just wanted a photo. Does the leopard know what a selfie is? Does the leopard have does it have the capability to perceive what a picture is and what taking a picture is? He sees you as in his, well, I don't even think it was dinner. The chat, I'm responding to the chat. He said it knows what dinner is. I don't even think it's dinner. He wasn't eating her, right? It wasn't, I think what he was doing was neutralizing what could be a threat, what he saw as a threat. This is my territory. I hunt here. I fish here. And he would have done the same thing to another snow leopard, but that snow leopard would have either, one, saw him as a threat and squared up at him, right, to scare him off or fight him, laid down in a you got it kind of submissive position to where that snow leopard said, all right, yeah, get out of here, right? Yeah, I'm the boss. you stumble in the wrong place, get out of here, or just started running away. But then you might get chased, right? She did none of the three. She's actually getting closer, and she's actually standing up tall. You're taller than a snow leopard. You know, I'm 5'10". Let's say for argument's sake, she's 5'4". That's what the average height for a woman is worldwide, right? Let's say she's 5'4". A snow leopard stands like 2 or 3 feet off the ground. So you're already taller than them, but it may have never seen a human before. So what is that? Are they getting big on me? Or that might be what they think you're doing. And if that's their territory and they want to fight, so you have to understand animals, they're gonna fight you, right? I'm not leaving. This is my home. You're not welcome here. I smell your scent, and that's not a scent I'm used to. So maybe she was even off the trail she was supposed to be on, right? And they tell you to stick to the trails for that reason. They get the scent of humans all the time from that trail, and if they don't want to run into humans, they stay away from that trail. So the trail is safer than going off of the trail. She might have been off of the trail, even though I saw signs for the trail in the video that we watched. I saw you, Sanchez. How about we leave them to their natural habitat? How about we do? If you see one from the trail, I'm going to see you getting smaller in the distance from the trail, because I'm going to watch you while you're watching me from the trail as I continue on my way. Now, if you're keeping the same size while I'm on the trail, I might get the flat screen out and start making some calls, because that means you're keeping me in your sights. If you're starting to get bigger, we may have to make some adjustments quicker. So yeah, we're not playing those games. Our tail needs to stay out this particular trail. Yeah, and maybe some of the other people too. But you know what's sad though? I'll tell you one thing I think is sad, right? What they'll do now, let me put that story back up, because what they'll do now is they'll go and they'll find this snow leopard. And they'll try and put the snow leopard to death because he mauled her. Or she. It might have been a she. I don't know. They'll put this big cat to death because she did something stupid. He's being an animal. Isn't that what he's supposed to be? I mean, you'd be weirded out if he was trying to be a human. He's not. He's being a snow leopard. And let me see if I can. I'm going to mute it, but I'll play it though. He was being an animal. She's going into his habitat. The reason you would kill him is if he was like, anybody ever seen Tarzan? If he was like Sabor, and those people living, Tarzan's parents living in that jungle tree house. Sabor opening the door and sneaking in and killing them. Okay, now he's an intruder. He came onto their territory, their human territory. See, he's looking from the trail right there. And the snow leopard is racing from the trail. So this leads me to believe she was off of the trail. Now, I could be wrong about this. Let me start this over. So, okay, right here. So they have her right here. Okay, I'm going to make this full screen. So stop doing that. Why do they do that with the size of the screen? If you see this right here, these wooden things, I've been on a lot of hikes. These tell you what trail you're on, and sometimes the distance from the trailhead to the trailhead or to the end of the trail, to the summit or the end, right? And they have her right by it. They're carrying her. Well, she's walking, but you get what I'm saying. They're helping her. Now, here's the snow leopard. I don't think she was far off the trail, but it looks like she might have been off of the trail. I'm speculating. See, he's looking from the trail. That's the edge of it usually, right there. That's what I'm thinking. That's how I'm seeing it now. And see that she's down there. So it looks like she's outside of the trail, right outside of it. So it looks like he's close to the trail. Now, I don't know how far off the trail she might have gone in order to get a glimpse of this snow leopard, or if she just saw it from the trail. But let me tell you something. I would not have been going there. But what JT was talking about, let me get to what you just said, though. Let me heart that. Nah, I'm 100 that. I do both because I didn't take the heart away. Imagine the medical bills she might have now. Let's say that she's all mauled up and she's got to do reconstructive surgery. She's got to get stitches. She may need a skin graft. She might lose an eyeball, right? He might have bit her in her lil. And if he did that, now she might have to have some kind of reconstructive surgery. And surgery's not cheap. It's not cheap at all, right? So she might have, like financial wise, she might have put herself in a bind. I think they are actually a protected species in this case for snow leopards. But normally it's because they have shown having a predatory pattern towards humans. So now, for the sake of liability, kill the animal. That's the thought process. Yeah. And see, I don't agree with that. Now, obviously, if snow leopard attacks go up in that area, could it be just one snow leopard continuously? That's what you would think. It's probably going to be one snow leopard attacking people if it's the same area or same trail or whatever, and it never happened before. It's probably the same snow leopard. So they'll come out and maybe they'll tranquilize them and then tag them and see if another attack is reported if it's the same snow leopard. But now you may have to put it down if it's just attacking people. But anyway, I guess we can summarize what we talked about, and that is it's not really about Dak Prescott and Sarah Jane Ramos. I can read. I don't know why I had Jones in the brain. Sarah Jane Ramos. It's not just about them, but just understand the person you pick to be your significant other, your wife, your husband, your partner you walk through life with. Like my wife and I, we hike together, we run together, we used to exercise, hit the gym together, but the schedules are so conflicting now, we don't do that. But if we got a chance to, we totally would. But she does spin with the girlies, and I go in the morning on base, usually an hour and 15 minutes away, and I lift weights. So we still work out, but like we walk through life together. We're doing life together. The person you pick could be the enemy of all of this, whether they mean to or they don't mean to. So a prenuptial agreement, if you have assets prior to being married, might actually be in a conversation for you. And if it is, I would say this. Look, don't let anybody make you feel guilty about having the conversation, right? That's your choice. It's not going to be my marriage. I'm not going to sleep in that bed. I'm not going to walk in your shoes. I'm not going to deal. Hopefully it doesn't happen, but I wouldn't be the one to deal with the divorce and the splitting of assets if it happened. That wouldn't have anything to do with me. So don't let anybody make you feel guilty for having the conversation, I guess is what I'm saying. I think it's a smart conversation to have. If somebody is too offended by the conversation or whatever, then maybe you can't have that conversation with them. If it's your significant other that you're gonna planning on marry, I don't know what to tell you. Just make smart decisions out there, and who you marry is one of the is a big decision. Does anybody else want to mic up and say anything before we close this one out? Because that's all I have on this one, really. That's really it. I don't want to keep repeating myself, but it does matter. Anybody else? Going once, going twice. God. All right, folks. The forge going cold. Thank you for being with me again for another week of the show. A week from today will be my anniversary. I still plan on doing a show, but we'll see as it gets closer. We'll see. I don't plan on calling off the show. I just plan on having some fun with my wife afterwards. So we'll probably make it a day, but after the show. But I plan on still being here next week at 10. So show's still on. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you. Lucky number 4, 4-leaf clover. They don't say lucky number 4, but hey, a 4-leaf clover is supposed to be lucky. So I'm saying it. All right, y'all. Y'all have a good week. And I love you dearly. And I will see you back here next week.